where are we on the drainage canal?
What do you want me to explain, the whole thing?
Well, I really hate to get into that. Okay.
I can make
Okay,
it
let's
sweet.
do it this way. The drainage canals, we're currently still paying for the maintenance.
Yes.
$280 a month.
Yes.
We got, the reason this came up is because you handed me that check.
Yes.
All right. So we got a check which was basis of an agreement with Grillo that was half now, half when he sells his property.
Yes.
Now, elaborate on why Grillo would pay us. I mean, are the canals his?
No. The canals are an easement, okay? Long story, very long story.
Go ahead.
All the easement waterways in Lucerne Lakes used to be taken care of by the Master Association.
Right.
We had a master president that wanted to cut costs, even though it's in the documents saying that the master's responsible for maintaining all the canals and waterways in the community. He canceled it and said each of the local HOAs must maintain their own. We did, HOA South did for a long time. It didn't happen for a while. I mean, there was fighting going back and forth between the master and us, documentations, all that, and it wasn't getting done. Finally, I guess we gave in. This is long before me, and they started maintaining it.
By
And
they,
then-
you mean the golf course? No.
We,
Oh, we did.
HOA, we
Oh.
started paying for the
Okay,
maintenance
you
of
said
it.
they, so I was.
And then we had, again, it became a budget issue, and we as the board, decided really the golf course should be maintaining it because it's either them or the homeowners who have the property, their property lines are on the canals, not us, not the HOA. It's the golf course and the homeowners. They each have part of it, but it's an easement. It's a water easement. Then we decided again as an HOA, because of the complaints, that we would start it up again, maintaining it, with the idea that we didn't want to have the complaints and we didn't want people getting sick and all that other stuff because of what was in there. So we started doing it. I had a discussion with the golf course, and I said, okay, this is going to be sold. We did this for your benefit. Would you benefit us back? And they agreed. They said, Nick said he would pay us the cost from when we restarted the contract, which was June of 2020, till the property is sold. And he guessed, we put a cost sheet together, we did half of it, and there again, when that's sold is up in the air yet, but he will cover whatever isn't covered till the end, with the idea that until something is done with the canals, Mattamy will maintain the contract.
So, was this discussed at a board meeting? Did we decide, the board decided?
No, they didn't know anything about this check.
Just the last one?
Okay.
They didn't know anything about that.
And you say it started June 2020, but we've been paying Southern Weed Control since December 2009?
No, there's a period that we.
We didn't know. I'm just talking about from June 2020 till current.
How long was the period that we weren't paying for it?
From 2018, June, oh wait, where was it? I have it here. I think it was 2018. Sometime in 2018,
2018 until when?
till June of 2020.
That's 2 years.
We did not, and then we were getting complaints from the homeowners along it, and the board decided to pick it up.
Okay. So is December 2009 about when the master stopped doing it? Do you think? Because that's when our first agreement with Southern Weed Control started.
I have the date, but I don't know what that date is. It's about, that's approximate. Jean was on this board. Gene and your husband.
My husband was never on the board.
Oh, no.
Well, I don't, it doesn't really
I
matter.
forget who was fighting,
It doesn't
who was
matter
fighting
who's
with the
dealing with
master.
it, it's just the fact that we have been paying from 2009 until now, except for a period of about 2 years, which you're telling me that we weren't paying for it.
And the reason we were paying for it was for the homeowners.
Okay, so we've paid a total of $35,000 to date. And I don't think I would agree to a check for $35.80, 10% of that to be a fair settlement. And if you double it, 5% of that.
He doesn't have to pay us anything.
No, he doesn't have to at this point. However, it is part of his responsibility. Whether it's half his
No,
responsibility.
no, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's the master's. It isn't his. It's the master HOA.
So why is he agreeing to pay us?
Out of the goodness of his heart.
Wonderful.
It's not because
So,
one
how
day, right?
do I return this check?
Take it over to him.
Okay.
He will cancel his agreement.
I make a motion that we do not accept the payment of $35.80 from Grillo to satisfy any dispute we have with the golf course on the drainage canal maintenance. Hello?
Oh, second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I'm just a little confused. If the master was doing it before the golf course, how is the golf course coming into play now? Why isn't the master taking care of that part? I'm a little mixed up as to who the players are here.
I was gonna say the same thing. That seems to me we should throw it back at the master, because if they're in charge of those, then they should be paying for it.
They had a lawyer look into it, and that's when the president at that time, and I can't tell you who it was, because it was long before me, stopped payment on it. And he stopped a lot of things that were in the master agreement.
Do it Norman?
No, he was never the master.
No, not the master.
He was here.
Are you talking
He
about?
might be the one that talked with the master,
Right.
and I have documentation way back. I have to
2009, it was
find
probably
it.
Stuart Norman.
Well, regardless of that, who's responsible, who's not responsible, I don't think it's in our interest to accept this as a settlement. And that's the motion I made. And I think in the future, actually I shouldn't talk about it during this motion, but we need to pursue this for the interests of the HOA. So I'll take the vote.
Are you're amending your,
No, I'm not amending nothing.
okay.
Taking a vote that we don't accept this check as a settlement for the existing waterway issues. Those in favor? Aye. Against? You made a mistake?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Do you want to accept this check? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Everybody got that? The
So,
motion fails. We accept the check from Grillo.
I'm really confused about this. I'm really
It
confused.
doesn't end the issue.
Oh, okay,
It doesn't end the issue, but I still think we're going to pursue something.
okay, okay.
No, it was earlier than that. I had given Bob a check that I had gotten from Nick
February.
from the golf club. what had happened was, back when I was president, and I knew that Madam E might be coming here, I went to Nick, who is the owner, can I have your attention? Who's the owner of the golf club. I said, Nick, when and if Madam E takes over ownership of the golf club, could you ask them to pick up the contract for the weed spraying that we picked up for the canals that are within Lucerne Lake South? That was the question I went to Nick. Nick said, I'm not going to ask them that. I'll tell you what I'll do. I will pay, personally, him will pay for the cost that we had for this community to spray the canals. So what he did, he paid from a period of time. I don't have that period of time in front of me, but he paid up to last January, which at that point was the time we thought Madam E was going to be purchasing the golf club. Of course, that's gone by. They haven't purchased it yet. And he has indicated to me that he will pick up from January to whenever Madam E picks up, he will reimburse us for those costs again. That's out of his pocket. That's his good nature. He doesn't have to do that. He's doing it, and he's offered to do that. That's where we are with that. So,
And we did it because homeowners were complaining
that
they were bad.
the weeds
And
were bad.
so that's why the association.
So that's that.
All right, new business. All right.
And I have copies if you want to follow along, or I'll just spew it out. This is regarding the waterway maintenance. I did discuss with Ed, discuss that, and he was going to put something in writing. We still don't have anything in writing as to what the agreement is. Ed has stated what the agreement is, but as business practice, there should be something in writing. As far as the numbers that were thrown out, as of September 22nd, this board has spent $40,900 in waterway maintenance. And that's from December 9th, December 09. Now, I don't know when Grillo or Forest Oaks became the golf course, but I think it was before December 09. If, as Ed discussed when we were discussing it, that maybe we should be sharing that waterway maintenance cost, that would mean there's $20,450 that should be paid by Grillo. So far, they have paid $35.80. That was a check we received in February. Leaves a balance of $16,870. So I wouldn't hold them fully responsible for 100%, even though they said they would pay it all. This board should at least be looking for $16,870. And that is one of the things that I went to our famous attorney about back in March of this year, and never got a response despite several repeated requests. So again, that's something I did present to the board. It was a board issue. I asked a question of the attorney. I didn't get an answer, so I didn't give anything to the board on this subject, other than continuously asking what the story is. So I just want to clarify that based on what you just had for discussion on this issue.
I'm pretty well. Do you want to come over here?